No one.
What's up? I'm Alex and welcome back to the Learn Beach Volleyball Fast YouTube channel. So this video that I'm going to create today is a little bit of an unexpected one and one that I didn't plan on making, because what has happened is that I've been creating this spiking video series, which I've already done 3 parts out of, and there's going to be a few more parts. And in the middle of this process something happened, which was that I received some Instagram messages from this girl Dana, who said that she had seen my videos and they had really helped her. And I was like, oh, that's amazing to hear. I mean, because I create these videos and I put them online, but I don't every day get to see if they actually help people. I get some comments and stuff, but that's about it. Anyway, she started sending me videos and I was like, this is actually a pretty amazing transformation that she's done from just the videos. I haven't coached her 1 second, I just put out videos online. So anyway, this is going to be part 4 in this spiking video series, and it's going to be a little bit of a case study of what she has done. So we're going to have a quick look at her spikes. I'm going to point out some things about them, and then I also have a bit of a Skype interview with her where we talk about her process of learning this technique from the videos, as well as some stuff about setting and spiking and sort of how they play together that I think a lot of people don't really think about. So enjoy, let's get started. Do you want to explain a little bit about the process on that day when you tried this technique out the first day?
About the process, I don't know. I didn't really have a process. I kind of just went into it like thinking about snapping my wrist on top of the ball. That was
Okay. Well, before you said something about being a visual learner. So what did you do?
So for me, one big thing that I realized is that when I hit, I don't look at the ball. I don't know why. I do look at the ball, but I don't look at the ball long enough to pick which part of the ball to hit at. Like, for example, like if you go cut, you want to hit like the side of the ball, right? Like side top of the ball. So it goes like, it cuts like down and out. I wasn't looking at the ball long enough. One. Two, you actually made a video about this as well. You mentioned it in one of your videos. I was taking too long to hit the ball. So like you said in one, like you want to hit the ball at its peak, right? But you almost have to hit it a little bit beforehand, because what happens sometimes you have the lag and then you end up hitting it on the way down and blah blah blah. So that's what was happening to me. So all my cut shots were a little bit out, or I would like waffle the ball and stuff like that. So I would hit the ball faster. So I would allow the ball to drop a little bit more. I would hit it faster. And then I was looking more at the ball to see which part I wanted to hit to make the shot.
Okay, so you're more conscious of where you're actually putting your hand.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing with the wrist snap technique is it allows it makes it possible to hit on the way up. It's because some techniques take so much time in the air, like from the second you leave the ground until you have basically managed to assemble your body into a hit, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like some techniques
Right.
just take more time in the air, so it becomes impossible to hit on the way up or whatever. But the wrist snap is one of the techniques that makes that quite easy. Um, so that makes complete sense. And that's kind of the point that they work together. Like it's the theory of hitting on the way up and using the wrist snap at the same time.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yes.
you said something about being good at visualizing, like you had been looking at the video like in slow motion and like sort of what happens in your mind when you do that? Like, are you like playing it in your own body in a sense at the same time? Does that make sense?
um yeah, actually. There are times where I've like watched it over and over again, and then I've gone to the beach and literally tried to mimic that exact same hit you did, or like the exact same hit I've seen like an Olympian do or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
um and when I do it and I achieve it, like I it's like I remember it, and it almost like builds that muscle memory, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's all it is muscle memory. How many times can you do it correctly, type of thing. um so yeah, that's what I've been
Uh,
focusing on recently.
yeah, there's like a feeling in the body that stays in your body. Like you recognize when you
Mm-hmm.
did it this way or not.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Has there been any challenges learning this thing?
Oh God, of course.
Yeah.
um
I
One
mean, you just
major
sent me a
challenge
video with a lot of good hits.
with fuck ups, yeah, you're gonna have like so many bloopers. The main thing with the wrist snap for me that I noticed was a challenge is the timing of your approach. So I feel like I'm going later, but I'm more explosive. Does that, am I supposed to feel that way?
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you think about it in a timeline, uh, for you to hit earlier after you leave the ground, that means that you have to leave the ground later than you're used to compared to the arch of the ball set. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because the set, the ball curvature, like the ball flight of the set is always going to be the same. And you're going to be timing your approach, jump, and hit compared to that. And if you want to hit quicker after you leave the ground, that means that you have to reach the point from where you jump later. So that
Mm-hmm.
probably means that you're going to have also a slower approach, or that you're going to start your approach a little bit later than normal. And yes, that can also translate to you feeling more explosive, because earlier, if you had a very early approach, in a sense, maybe you had to
Mm-hmm.
slow down the jump to be able to time the ball correctly. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're like snapping in the jump, then that's obviously going to happen at max speed, which means you don't want to jump too early, because then you're going to hit the ball late, or the ball hasn't dropped far enough down yet. So then you have to be in the air and wait for the ball to drop, and then you can hit it.
Right. Another challenge that I've had too is calling what type of set I should want to, during a play like that, because it's a little harder when it's a higher set. It's like, when do I, at that point, I should probably just do a regular like approach type of thing. Like, so that's another challenge that I've noticed is I'm able to do it better with a tempo set, like something that's a little quicker versus like your average set.
Okay, that's interesting. The tempo sets.
Is it?
There's a couple of reasons for that probably. The tempo sets basically, if you think about it physically, the ball hangs out in the sweet spot for a longer time because the higher the set is, the more
For a
speed.
longer time?
Yes, because a high set is going to have more speed. The ball is going to have more speed going down when it goes through the height where you want to contact the ball.
Okay. So
Does that make sense?
you have a smaller window, you're saying, for your power hit.
Exactly. You have a smaller,
Okay.
the time that the ball hangs out in the height where you want to contact it is going to be shorter the higher the set is.
Okay.
Does that make sense, the physics of it?
That actually makes sense. Yes, that does make
Because
sense.
it accelerates and then it sort of slows down at the top for a split moment. It's actually standing still, then it starts accelerating downwards. So the more time it has had to accelerate downwards, the faster it's going to go through that height where you want to contact the ball. The second reason is basically tempo sets are easier to time because they are lower. They do move slower through the strike zone, but many people struggle with tempo sets because their technique don't allow them to be quick enough to have time to hit the tempo set. Like they can't make it there in time if the tempo set is too quick. So that's probably another reason why the wrist snap, it feels good to do the tempo, because now you have a technique that allows for the tempo.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because maybe if
That
you
makes
have
sense,
something
yes.
where you jump and it takes a lot of time to assemble your arm swing and you're sort of hitting on the way down, well, put that technique in a tempo set together and you simply just don't have time to do it. Like you have to start, you basically have to be on like your second to last step or something as your partner is setting the ball, which then that makes it harder for you to adapt to the set because you basically used some of the steps in your approach already before you know where the set is going to go. Does that make sense?
Right.
So some setters, you can really well like read where they're going to put the ball, and that means you're fine. You can take steps before you actually see the ball leave their hands. And some people, some setters are more random. It's going to go somewhere, and that's when it's better to have some steps left to do your adjustments,
Right.
if that makes sense. All right, so now actually let's have another look at some of these before and after spikes and some details about them. So first of all, this is one of the before spikes. The first detail I want you to see is the left arm, which actually is kind of hard to see here because it's sort of behind her body. But I want you to notice that here when she leaves the ground and jumps upwards, the left arm is still upwards. And this frame here, you can see that it's still up there behind her right arm basically. So it doesn't have this drive down that some other spikes might have. And the second detail I want you to see is also the right elbow. I want you to notice that it never really goes behind her. So it goes sort of to the side and maybe it stays in front of her, like here it's in front of her. It just never goes back behind. And then we have this hit, which is same angle, probably same day here. We can see that it's a little bit different. Like if we first look at the left arm, it does go, so she leaves the ground, it does go down a little bit, but then it sort of moves forward. So it doesn't get hard driven down in a sense. And also the right elbow is also a little bit better on this one than the previous one. It goes basically straight to the side of her body and then up towards the ball to hit the ball. But it still doesn't, left arm still doesn't go into her stomach and right elbow doesn't go behind her body. And we can quickly see the same thing also in this hit. And to be fair, this hit didn't have the perfect set for her, so it might be, her hit might be actually even worse than what her technique is because of that. But anyway, we can still see that the left arm has a tendency to stay up in the air even after she leaves the ground. It's a little bit hidden here against the background, but I believe you can see sort of there behind her head. It's still up there, still up there, still up there, and still up there as she contacts the ball. Now it goes down. And also the right elbow goes to the side. It's straight to the side, then goes up and forwards. So that, in comparison to what it looks like after the technique change, is going to be a pretty big difference. So here we can see that she leaves the ground. There she leaves the ground. Left arm is up in the air. There she leaves the ground, and left arm immediately starts moving downwards. And in her case, sort of into her stomach. And at the same time, the right elbow moves not only to the side, but also backwards. So we can actually see that the right elbow is behind her spine here. And then it makes this sort of circle movement so that she can contact the ball up high. And then we can see the same pattern in this one. There she leaves the ground, left arm starts moving down immediately. Right elbow here is behind the spine. Does this circle movement and reaches up towards the ball. Now, there's one detail. So I did point out two things here, the left arm and the right elbow. I'm gonna say that the right elbow might be a good thing to focus on when learning certain spiking techniques. But if you wanna learn the Wristsnap technique the way that I've been teaching in this video series and in video 3 of this video series specifically, most people don't really need to focus on that. It's basically enough usually to focus on driving the left arm down as soon as you leave the ground and focusing on what the contact, the wrist snap or flap or whatever you should do on top of the ball should feel like and look like. I know a lot of people are interested in different types of arm swings and how to do them and how to learn them and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are sort of talking a little bit about that right here and now, but I will make longer and better and more detailed videos about that in the future, instead of going into it right here and right now in this video. Cool. I hope this video has been valuable and insightful, and also that you saw the other 3 parts of this video series and that those gave you a lot of insights as well. You might have understood that I don't think that the wrist snap spiking technique is necessarily the absolute best one that you can use, but it's still a very good one and very efficient and very easy to learn, which is part of the reason why I teach it. But I'm gonna dive deeper into this difference between different spiking techniques and why I teach this one in this video series, etc., among other things in the upcoming parts of this video series. So if you have found these ones so far valuable, you don't wanna miss out on those as well. So subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below if you have any questions or if you just wanna say hi. And of course, tell your friends, because the faster this channel grows, the faster I can make these videos for you guys. Thank you for watching. See you soon again.